Do you believe that an ancient curse could still kill people mysteriously, even after more than 3,000 years? In 1922, when archaeologists opened the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, something happened that the world never expected. People involved in the excavation began to suffer from strange illnesses, mysterious accidents, and even sudden death. Lord Carnarvon, the main sponsor of the dig, died from what seemed like a simple mosquito bite. But that was just the beginning. A curse was said to be inscribed on the tomb walls, warning intruders that death will come on swift wings to those who disturb the king's rest. Was it mere coincidence? Or was there truly an invisible force, a curse, at work? Would you dare to enter a cursed tomb, where the line between life and death is just one step apart? What do you think? Hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you believe the curse is real. Now, let's dive in deeper. In 1922, one of the most sensational archaeological discoveries of the 20th century sparked global fascination, when Howard Carter and Lord Carnarvon uncovered the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Tutankhamun, a young pharaoh who ruled over 3,300 years ago, was buried with an immense collection of priceless treasures, many of which had remained completely unknown to the modern world. His tomb lay hidden deep underground, allegedly protected by traps and curses designed to ward off grave robbers and intruders. After millennia sealed in silence, the pharaoh's solid gold sarcophagus was opened for the first time before modern eyes. But instead of just historical artifacts and buried riches, a strange and unsettling pattern began to emerge: mysterious deaths among those involved in the excavation. Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's financier and one of the first to enter the tomb, died just weeks after the tomb's discovery. Other members of the team soon suffered bizarre accidents, unexplained illnesses, and sudden deaths. The media quickly sensationalized the story, igniting a wave of fear and fascination around the so-called Pharaoh's curse. Though scientists offered theories involving ancient bacteria or mold spores sealed inside the tomb, the chilling sequence of events continued to raise questions. Tutankhamun was no longer just a young king from ancient Egypt, he had become the center of a mystery that has haunted humanity for over 3,000 years. Was the curse real, or just a legend? It all began on November 4, 1922, when archaeologist Howard Carter and his team unlocked the entrance to Pharaoh Tutankhamun's tomb. This was the first time a nearly intact royal tomb had ever been discovered in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, a monumental turning point in archaeological history. The golden sarcophagus, priceless treasures, and hundreds of mysterious artifacts left the world in awe. But beneath the excitement, darkness slowly emerged. Just weeks after entering the tomb, Lord Carnarvon, the expedition's main sponsor, died suddenly from an infected mosquito bite. His death ignited rumors of a deadly curse. It's said that before he died, he told Carter in a moment of dread, "I don't want to die. I don't want to die." Soon after, other members of the excavation team began to experience strange and eerie incidents. Some fell ill with intense fevers and unexplained symptoms. Others suffered deadly accidents or claimed to be haunted by disturbing visions. These occurrences happened in rapid succession, sparking fear across both the scientific community and the general public. George J. Gould, a wealthy businessman who visited the tomb, died just a few months later. Even Carter's own relatives were said to be affected, his nephew reportedly tormented by terrifying dreams and strange misfortunes. For many, this string of events felt far too consistent to be coincidence. According to ancient Egyptian tradition, curses were inscribed on tomb walls to protect the pharaoh's eternal rest. Warnings spoke of death coming on swift wings to anyone who dared to disturb the king's peace. These curses weren't meant as metaphors, they were believed to be real, empowered by divine forces. Howard Carter himself dismissed the idea of a curse, attributing the deaths to coincidence and media exaggeration. But many historians and scientists struggle to explain the sheer number of bizarre incidents. Some propose that toxic molds, ancient bacteria, or long-sealed airborne pathogens had been released once the tomb was opened. However, not everyone agreed with the scientific explanation. Paranormal researchers and spiritualists insisted that the curse was real, a supernatural force placed upon the tomb by ancient Egyptian gods to guard their secrets and treasures. In this view, the curse was not just a warning, but a powerful force capable of inflicting death or misfortune on intruders. The series of mysterious events surrounding Tutankhamun's tomb has become one of the most compelling stories in archaeology and global history. It serves not only as a reminder of the importance of respecting the dead but also as a starting point for a long-standing debate between science and the supernatural. So the question remains: was the pharaoh's curse real, or merely a series of strange coincidences? A century later, the mystery still haunts us, and may continue to do so for generations to come. The mysterious death surrounding the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb gave rise to countless theories, from the rational to the deeply spiritual. Over the years, researchers, scientists, historians, and mystics have all tried to explain whether the pharaoh's curse is real, or just a myth born from fear and coincidence. Let's break down the most prominent theories. 1. The spiritual or supernatural theory. Many believe that the ancient Egyptians possessed a deep understanding of the spiritual world, knowledge that may have allowed them to harness forces we still don't comprehend today. According to this theory, the curse wasn't just a warning. It was a powerful spiritual barrier, possibly activated through ritual magic, sacred inscriptions, or divine invocation. Some spiritual researchers claim that the tomb of a pharaoh is not just a burial chamber, it's a portal between the worlds of the living and the dead. Disturbing such a place would invite spiritual retribution. There are also ancient texts that mention curses written in invisible ink or embedded in hieroglyphs that carry symbolic energy. The infamous phrase reportedly found on a tablet in the tomb, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the king's rest," has only fueled this belief. Supporters of this theory argue that the series of strange and untimely deaths, visions, and misfortunes are too consistent to dismiss. To them, the curse is not just myth, it is sacred law, passed down by the gods of ancient Egypt. Test Tube 2. The scientific theory, mold, bacteria and poison. On the other side of the spectrum are scientists and medical researchers who have tried to offer a rational explanation. The most accepted theory is that the tomb, sealed for over 3,000 years, had become a breeding ground for dangerous mold spores and bacteria. When the tomb was opened, these invisible biological threats, like Aspergillus flavus, Stachybotrys, or even toxic formaldehyde gas from decaying materials, could have been released into the air. Some researchers believe Lord Carnarvon may have suffered from an allergic reaction or a weakened immune response triggered by exposure to these pathogens. Others suggest that exposure to these toxins could lead to long-term health issues, contributing to the strange symptoms and deaths. This theory is supported by the fact that tombs are low-oxygen, high-humidity environments, perfect conditions for fungal growth and bacterial survival. But while this may explain some of the deaths, it doesn't fully account for the suddenness and diversity of causes, from fevers to accidents to suicides. Even in science, there are gaps. 3. The conspiracy and psychological theory. Another theory lies somewhere in between, a mix of media-driven hysteria, public imagination, and fear-induced psychosis. When news of the curse broke, newspapers around the world exaggerated the story, adding drama and fear to every coincidence. Headlines screamed of ancient magic and deadly forces, fueling a global obsession with the mystery. Some psychologists argue that many of the individuals involved were under intense mental and emotional pressure. The fear of a curse, once planted, could trigger psychosomatic responses, panic attacks, insomnia, hallucinations, and even heart failure. This theory suggests that the curse wasn't supernatural, it was psychological. But powerful enough to kill nonetheless. So, which theory holds up? Each of these theories offers a unique lens. Spiritualists see a divine warning not to disturb sacred spaces. Scientists search for microbes, toxins, and logical causality. Skeptics see media hype, human error, and fear run amok. The reality? Perhaps it's a blend of all three. After all, the power of belief, whether in science, gods, or fear itself, has shaped history countless times. And when belief is strong enough, sometimes it becomes reality. So which theory do you believe in? Was the curse a supernatural punishment, a biological accident, or a mental projection from our own fears? The mystery endures, and the debate continues. After diving into the stories, the theories, and the chilling timeline of events, I have to admit, there's something about the Pharaoh's curse that unsettles me, even now, a century later. I'm not someone who immediately believes in the supernatural. I tend to look for logic, patterns, and scientific explanations. And yes, the mold and bacteria theory makes sense. The psychological impact of fear? Also plausible. But there's a part of me that can't quite shake the feeling that something more was at play. Think about it, we're talking about a tomb sealed for over 3,000 years, untouched by the modern world, built by a civilization that revered death, the afterlife, and spiritual power like no other. They believed in magic, in divine punishment, and in guarding the souls of their kings. Can we, in the modern age, be so quick to dismiss that? What gives me chills is how precisely timed everything was. Carnarvon dying weeks after entering. Other team members experiencing misfortune so specific, so sudden. It's not just that people died, it's how they died, and how those deaths lined up with ancient warnings. And maybe that's the scariest part, not knowing. Not being able to fully explain it. Because when science doesn't have all the answers, and when logic begins to bend, we're left face to face with the unknown. Would I ever step foot inside a sealed tomb, knowing the risks, the history, the fear that's followed it for generations? Honestly, I don't know. Part of me is deeply fascinated. The other part? Terrified. Maybe that's the true power of the Pharaoh's curse, not just in what it does, but in what it makes us feel, that chilling sense that some doors were never meant to be opened. So after everything, the deaths, the legends, the science, and the fear, we're still left with one chilling truth: something happened in 1922 that the world still can't fully explain. Was it just bacteria? Media hype? Pure coincidence? Or, was there really an ancient force guarding the secrets of the dead, waiting silently for thousands of years, only to strike when disturbed? Whether you believe in curses or not, the mystery of Tutankhamun's tomb reminds us of how much we still don't know, and maybe, how much we were never meant to know. Because when history speaks in whispers, in gold-lined coffins and faded hieroglyphs, sometimes, the smartest thing we can do, is listen. What about you? Do you believe the Pharaoh's curse was real? Or just a spooky story wrapped in ancient dust? Comment your thoughts below, I want to know what you think. And if you love mysteries like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because there's so much more still hidden beneath the sands of time.